So, everyone has been freaking out over the new Mario Wonder trailer, which I think is a fairly reasonable reaction, and there's still people making theories about the mechanics and all the playable characters and such, and just generally talking about how wacky and unexpected it is. And that is all well and good, but what I'd want to talk about today for a little bit is why we should have all expected that the next 2D Mario game would be so unexpected. I promise that'll make sense later. See, I don't think it would be too controversial to say that Nintendo is pretty good at making 2D platformers. I mean, they practically revived the entire gaming industry with one, and even the worst or most bland 2D Mario games like the new Super Mario Bros. Series are all honestly still pretty good in a vacuum. It's really more that they just went crazy and oversaturated the market by releasing a game a year for like 4 years in a row, which was very un-Nintendo-like of them. But then they decided to change things up a bit, and they ended up creating Super Mario Maker, a game where you can now make 2D Mario levels for yourself and share them around the world. And that's the thing, this level editor was actually really versatile, especially when they released the sequel and added even more features and themes to play around with. And that's all well and good. Now everyone can make a near infinite amount of 2D Mario levels and play them for years and years without ever repeating the same level twice. But then that presents a problem. Not for us, I mean, we're eating good with all that Mario to play around with, but rather for Nintendo, because how do you follow up a game with infinite levels? I mean, not to discount the quality of older 2D Mario games, but Mario Maker and its sequel kinda invalidates the notion of just making another 2D Mario. I mean, after all, haven't you noticed how little 2D Mario we've gotten since Mario Maker 1 came out? That game was released all the way back in 2015, which is a lot closer to a decade ago than I want to admit. And how many 2D Mario games have we gotten since then? Other than Mario Maker 2? Nothing. And I mean, you might think, well, Nintendo tends to only put out one mainline entry to a series per console, but I remind you that 2D Mario games were practically annualized before Mario Maker. I mean, from 2006 to 2013 in the Wii and Wii U era, we got 5 2D Mario games in under 7 years, and yet since 2013, when the last mainline 2D Mario game came out, we've only gotten 2, technically 3 if you count the 3DS port, entries in the Mario Maker series, rather than any proper mainline 2D Mario games. And I think that's because Mario Maker kind of painted Nintendo into a corner. They can't just release any old 2D Mario game anymore. I mean, imagine if Nintendo made a new entry in the new Super Mario Bros. Series, or even just generally a new basic 2D Mario game that was at all anything like any of the older games. Given the sheer amount of levels that I've personally seen in Mario Maker that is emulating older Mario games, you could bet your ass that 1,000 people would probably work to try and emulate those new levels in Mario Maker practically overnight, and especially with the fact that you can create entire worlds to group levels together, chances are people will just recreate the entire new game in an older one. I mean, not only is Mario Maker a robust level editor, but people have come up with insane ways to exploit the elements of that game to create entirely new mechanics, like the levels where you can't jump, or where you can't kill enemies, where you have to perform escort missions and such. So any kind of basic, simple new mechanic that they could introduce, like they usually do in the 2D Mario series, would probably be able to be emulated through some clever contraption in Mario Maker. So if you're Nintendo and you accidentally just basically gave your fan base an infinite version of one of your mainline franchises, what do you do to create a new entry in that series when it comes time to do so? Well, the answer, evidently, is to break out the secret emergency mushroom stash and go completely insane with it. And that's what we got. The main reason why I think Mario Wonder is so off the wall with its mechanics is because they had to. I mean, just look at these crazy new mechanics. Pipes sliding around like worms, everything in the world moving and shifting in size, and of course completely new kinds of power-ups that I'm sure will have their own insanities surrounding them. Anything less than this would easily be emulated through Mario Maker, and thus render it basically pointless as a new release. Like, I'm sure Nintendo would still make a quality title even if they just released another fairly normal, traditional, classic 2D Mario game, but it'd feel like a pretty significant downgrade in today's world compared to Mario Maker, because you'd be comparing infinite levels to finite levels. And even before Mario Maker came out, people were already getting sick of things like the new Super Mario Bros. Formula, because while sure, they did introduce some new mechanics and gimmicks with each entry, they still all felt fairly similar to each other since they shared a lot of the base mechanics. So in order to advance the franchise at all, they had to make a completely original new series with new mechanics that were completely nothing like anything we've seen in a 2D Mario game before. And I think everyone is all the better for it. I mean, can you even imagine if they just put out another new Super Mario Bros. Style 2D game? Even if they mixed up the art and branding, since, like I said, that name is ironically pretty old at this point, I feel like everyone would probably feel pretty meh about it, and it would probably just pass them by. I mean, a lot of people would probably still play it eventually anyways, but it certainly wouldn't be any kind of noteworthy release. But with Mario Wonder, well, that much insanity that they showed off immediately has clearly made everyone way more interested in it, and I expect that in order to keep innovating the 2D platformer space, Nintendo is probably going to continue this trend going forwards, and I personally can't wait to see what they come up with. So yeah, like I said, I just wanted to make a quick video commenting on Mario Wonder, and as always, I'm happy to continue the conversation down in the comments below. So let me know, what did you think of Mario Wonder's trailer, and do you think Nintendo has done enough to set this apart from older Mario games and other 2D platformers in general? And as always, if you want to see me make more videos like this in the future, make sure to leave me a like and a subscribe so that you can be notified about more videos like this one. And until next time, I'll see you all later.